One on record. I'm Sam Guckenheimer. I'm here from the Popo Village, South Kona District on the Big Island. I am the lead of Kona Indivisible. I'm a total newbie with regard to the Democratic Party, but I'm a delegate now from District 6. And I put forward two of the resolutions that we're looking at, right choice voting, and one to hold the Trump regime accountable. And I am feeling really busy.
Okay. Okay.
So, and I tagged Robin.
Beans. That means I have to think about myself. All right. Name Robin Nelson. I'm from District 46, Mililani. I'm new to any committee, so hello. Well, happy to be here. Anxious but excited. So we'll go with excited since that's a more positive connotation. I float around Stonewall Caucus. I lurk in the Veterans Caucus emails. Yeah, happy to be here. Hello. And Popcorn. Who else is here? I gotta scroll for a bit. Popcorn Dale.
Thanks, Robin. Dale Vanderbrink. I live here on Oahu in the downtown area. Part of Stonewall Caucus, District Council as well for 23. I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad my cold decided to clear up as of this morning, so I'm not coughing and gagging on Zoom. I think that was everything I was supposed to mention. But that being said, I can pass it along to Tina.
Thanks, Dale. Hey, everybody. My name is Tina. I live in Hilo. I am District 2 Chair. I am the one of the representatives for SCC District 1. And I wrote or co-wrote 14 of the amendment or the resolutions that we'll be talking about today. So happy to be here. And if I was going to say how I'm feeling, it's like a mixture of like tired and motivated to continue the work in this party to be the party that we claim to be.
Thanks, Tina. Who's next?
Let's do Bronson. Go ahead, Bronson.
Thanks, Tina. Hello, folks. Bronson Silva here. I am actually just a guest at tonight's meeting. I am part of the convention committee along with Micah Kosasa, who should be joining us shortly. But excited for the committee's work, and then also excited to see all you folks at our convention later on this month. And thank you folks for serving as well. And I'll popcorn it over to Sarah.
Bronson, baby mama, make sure she's doing well.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, we are.
Okay, Sarah Simmons, Volcano, District 5, Big Island, also SD3. I'm SCC, Legislative Committee, too many things that I volunteer for, and I'm tired. Who's next? Doug. Did Doug go? I don't think so.
No, not yet.
Hey, yeah, hi. Hi, Sarah. Hey, all. Doug Pyle, and I live downtown Chinatown. That's where I'm at right now. And I am the SCC rep for Senate District 13. That's Carl Rhodes, and also House Chair, District Chair, Council Chair for Senate for House District 28. And feel like I'm multitasking today. That's my adjective.
Okay.
And let's see who hasn't come. Maybe has Kate spoken?
Nope, not yet.
How about Kate?
Kate?
The audio. Okay. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Kate Stanley. I live in District 18, Hawai'i, and I am one of the co-chairs of the party-run presidential standing committee, and I'm a guest at the resolutions committee tonight.
Great. Thanks, Kate. I don't think we had Tanya yet. Tanya?
Aloha, I'm Tanya. I'm from District 3 in Pahoa, and excited to be here. And I also co-wrote several of the resolutions from Hawai'i County, and so I'm super excited to be here. Let's see, how about
I think we have,
Don? Oh, okay.
no, you know what? We haven't had Carolyn.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, Carolyn. I see two of you. Oh, she hasn't unmuted. Let's go with our scribe. Is it Nine or Nina? Donna?
Oh wait, I wasn't expecting to. I thought I would just listen in. Hi, I'm 9. I'm from
Nine.
the Hawaii High School Democrats of America. I am the current chair for this term, and I look forward to being all with you today. I'm also from Mililani, Oahu.
Okay, thanks, Nine. Donna, did you introduce yourself?
No, well, I'm Donna Domingo. My house district is District 11. So I'm here just as a guest and just trying to understand and see the resolutions. So I'm just be observing. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Donna.
Thank you.
Okay, so I dumped everything into a working folder, and the committee members have comment privileges. And so I hope everybody had an easy time getting onto the folder and reviewing everything. And the next thing I wanted to ask about is if the review process was okay with everyone, do a quick review, first pass, and then come back later to do some more in-depth discussion. So any questions about that? Oh, Dale?
Sorry, I was trying to find the raise my hand button. I guess the one area of concern with the review notes that you sent over, it was talking about a scoring point system. I do have concerns though, if we do it as a group and a scoring point system, like where we all agree on the numbers for each of the 5 categories, and then we do that for say all 36 or now 38 resolutions, that means we would have to take somewhere around 148 votes or 150 votes in order to assign a specific point value as a group. And so because of that, it can seem like we might go through a lot of unnecessary votes in order to assign those point values. It might be easier just to keep those as guidelines, just for something for us to keep in mind to determine if we submit it or not, but not assign a point value for them.
Okay, that sounds good. Any other comments? Yeah. Sorry, my husband's walking behind me. Let's see. Okay, why don't we go through the
Hello.
Oh, Carolyn?
Yes. Last but not least, I'm Carolyn Goyo Martinez. I have been a committee member and a long time. I've been on almost every committee since I rejoined the Democratic Party. I was gone for a while, and but My husband was in the Air Force, and it's an unwritten law as an Air Force officer that you not be political. And so we were quiet. And you remain quiet all the time you're in the Air Force if you're an officer, because it does reflect on promotions. So anyway, I've been on every committee that we've had since I returned to the party. And I am now 80 years old and I'm still talking. So I live in Makakilo, 43-7. Every time they turn around, they change our number. So it's good to find out. But I'm glad to see so many of the people I've known throughout the years still plugging away. So
Thanks, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's go back to I guess looking at
I just had a question.
Sure.
How do you want to I was just thinking, since we have a lot of authors in here, I heard 3 different people say that they wrote the resolutions. Would you like them to just go over and try to summarize their resolution, or do you want to try to do that? Or
well, hopefully everybody's read the resolution. So as we go down, I'll just, if there are questions, then maybe they can comment on it. But you know, if I hope people have done their homework and except the guys that just got on the committee.
Yeah.
And
I did not get a chance to read all the resolutions because I just got access to the folder like an hour ago.
I think there's some, you know, some quick assessments that can be done, like, you know, first of all, was it submitted in accordance with convention rules, especially the late ones? You know, did they find if there was some that was duplicative? Is it a timely issue? I think those can be real quick assessments that we can make. And I noticed that there were some resolutions that were submitted that have already passed the SCC. It went through the SCC and have been introduced earlier this year. Okay. Sam, you had a question?
Since this is my first time through, forgive me if these are stupid questions, but our output is a slate of resolutions to go to the convention, right?
Yes.
Okay, and do we have a quota or something else we are targeting with regard to the submissions we have now, or what are we to do between now and producing that slate for the convention?
Well, you know, we would, so our objective is to filter, strengthen the resolutions where they're necessary and clarify them so that they're easy to read by the delegates. Make sure that they're understandable. And, you know, I think one of the things that we have to look at is in the be it resolved, you know, are these just actionable items or just aspirational items? So, yeah.
So we're assessing one by one. Is the resolution clear, actionable? Can it be improved? Should we advance it?
Yeah, does it, you know, is it significant enough to be a party resolution?
I don't know about that. Significant enough to be, aren't we just kind of like making sure this is okay for the body to vote on? Isn't it the body that decides if this is something that they want to adopt? We're just kind of being on a lot of different committees. We're just here to make sure it's okay to get to the body.
Well, I don't believe everything needs to go to the body. We have to determine that if it's significant enough to be discussed by the body.
Okay.
Dale?
Thanks, Nina. I think it's either the bylaws or the standing committees say that it should be a statewide or national issue, which is one of the key ways we're supposed to determine if it's something we should pass or not pass. But I know from my time 2 years ago, people's I wouldn't say political bias, but really their opinions do filter in and determine if it passes or not. But really, statewide, national importance, is it consistent with our platform and our values, are all things we should determine. So significance may not necessarily be a determining factor, but maybe just something to keep in mind.
Thank you. Okay, Tina?
Thank you. Yes, I agree with what Dale was saying, and I was also kind of I think that's something, and especially regarding like whether it is, only significant for or only like applicable to state or national things. Like for example, one of our HCC resolutions that went forward is worded to talk about Hawaii County, but we as HCC decided to send it forward anyways, in the hopes that this committee could come together and look at it and say, you know what, that does make sense, and we don't have something else like that for the state. So essentially, just like elevating the idea from a county level to a state level, if that makes sense.
Okay, well, why don't we give it a try and go through the first one? So the first one is about authentic assessment, dealing with the Department of Education not relying on standardized testing.
I can speak to that. I wrote it. So the whole concept here is, there was a bill that went through legislature, didn't make it all the way, but the whole concept here is under No Child Left Behind, George Bush turned the testing industry from $1 million testing industry into $1 billion overnight. Right now, your federal government doesn't want oligarch money, socialism, to be paying for, everyone's public education. So they're dismantling the Department of Ed. So my thought is, why we can actually, the Department of Ed can actually write their own assessments, develop their own assessments, and save millions of dollars at the same time. So when we're looking at less funding from the federal government and a federal government that really is attacking public education and dismantling it, why are we going along with just making kids into dollar signs and forcing them to take an assessment that really isn't at their best interests? And the Department of Ed and other states have already done this. The Department of Ed can write their own assessments and save millions of dollars at the same time. So just trying to raise awareness on that issue.
Okay, is this something that was discussed in the Education Caucus?
No. I wanted it discussed at convention, and I took all of your criteria and put it in the department and our platform. Oh, and I took it. Oh, here, never mind. Yeah, so I can do that another time, but I wanted to have this debate in front of legislators and raise this issue in front of legislators and the state convention.
Okay, does it make the first pass? Oh, Dale?
Yeah, I thought I'd just add on that this is consistent with the part of the platform that actually reads verbatim, standardized testing should be replaced with authentic assessments that promote real-world learning opportunities for students. So it's consistent with our platform. I read it through and I didn't see any grammatical or issues that would be inconsistent with how resolutions are supposed to be formatted or written. The only one part which I just want clarification maybe from someone who's written more resolutions is, should each resolve clause start with the phrase the Democratic Party of Hawaii urges, or is it good just to leave that in the first resolve clause and all the rest just kind of list what the resolution is calling for? So, like, the first one reads that the Democrat Party of the state of Hawaii urges the Department of Education, and then the second resolve clause starts with resolve that the department is requested to invest. So, if you understand what I'm meaning, it's since these are
Yeah.
resolutions from the party, then should they all start with the party urges, or should only the first resolve clause start that way?
Okay, so we can come back and kind of reformat the probably reorder the resolve clause since we cannot change, I believe, the resolve clause. Oops. The other thing is that if there's a strong statement in the platform, it really should be reiterated in the resolution. So we may have to add an additional resolve clause, to strengthen it because it's a platform statement.
Maybe not necessarily. That could always be slipped into a whereas clause, just to indicate that this is a part of our the Democrat Party of Hawaii's platform.
Yeah, sorry if I didn't make that clear, but it should be an additional whereas clause and referring to the platform. I think it makes it a stronger resolution statement. Okay, Justin, since this is your
Yeah, I don't know about changing that. I ran all of I ran your whole recommendations of what to process through Google Gemini AI, and everything came up fine. And I lined it with the platform. I think that's, I don't know. I really can't.
I don't see any reference to the platform.
Platform alignment is strong. The resolution directly cites the DPH platform's preamble regarding transparent. I'm on the wrong one. I'm on the wrong one. Just a minute.
Referencing the platform as a whereas in the resolution.
Yeah, platform alignment, highly aligned with DPH.
No, I'm not talking about your assessment. I'm saying add as a whereas clause the part of the platform, reference the platform in the whereas clause.
Okay, just a minute. So platform alignment, highly aligned. DPH platform explicitly commits to strengthening public education and respecting the dignity and worth of each individual, moving away from one-size-fits-all metrics. This resolution supports a platform goal of quality learning and cultural preservation. So I think that's all just technical. I don't.
Justin, I think what we're just asking, and let me just see if I could throw it in the chat for a moment. Just something along the lines of this is, what would be the phrase? This is consistent with the Democrat Party of Hawaii's platform, and then copy and paste what the platform says. So something like that in the chat. So whereas this is consistent with the Democrat Party of Hawaii's platform, standardized testing should be replaced with authentic assessments that promote real-world learning opportunities for students. Just so it references the platform and further strengthens it when it goes to the floor.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you. Yeah. But it doesn't have to say this is consistent. It just says the DPH platform states blah, blah, blah.
So what are we doing as a working document? Are we putting that, is this a suggestion that you want me to edit and then send you the document again, or how are we doing this? Or is this something that we're doing as a committee and then it's there and then?
If I could make a recommendation, Mina, it might be good to have it as a suggestion so we can keep track of any changes made. And then once we have quorum, we can go through these changes document by document and then just vote on them to indicate if we accept the changes or don't accept the changes.
Yeah.
Could I-
So
could I-
can you drop it, Dale, can you drop it into the document as a comment?
And it's only supposed to be one page, so if there, it might
Yeah, plenty of space
extend
on
it
the bottom.
it might extend it past a page.
Okay, Doug?
Yeah, just a process. I just joined the committee, so I haven't had a chance to read these. But I've been working with resolutions and legislation committees for a couple decades, I suppose. And what I think it is a suggestion. And so procedurally, what we would need to do when we reform is to accept the changes or not. What we do need to do, we don't have to add this language. I do agree in this case, it probably makes a stronger argument to add it, but we would have the duty to find things that are inconsistent with the platform, rather than it's not required for each resolution to say that they're consistent with the platform. But if we find something that's not consistent, then that would be a basis for excluding a resolution. Nevertheless, we have to consider that there could be a new platform. So we would, if we're going to cite the platform, you probably want to cite the year, the term, the platform of 2024 to 2026, I suppose it would be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's important to cite the platform because the party has taken a position regarding standardized testing. So this just helps to inform. Okay,
Yeah,
Dale?
great. I agree with that. That's a good point. Thank you.
Dale?
Thanks, Mina. Did you want to assign one person to do these suggestions in the document, be that Justin or yourself or someone else, so that way they can make these changes or make these suggestions as they're noted, so that way we're all not in the document doing it?
Let me see. The scribe is taking notes. So 9 is taking notes right now, but I think it would be helpful. It appears that you're the most adept person. If you don't mind, if you can drop it in as a comment.
I was afraid I was volunteering myself, but yeah, I can do so. So correct me if I'm doing it incorrectly, but I'll make the suggestion.
Okay, yeah, and then we can track it that way. And then I think the other comment was to reorder the resolve clause. So it's the was it this one? Did we talk about the resolve clause? Earlier?
Yes, I mean, I believe I mentioned just that if it was okay that the first resolve clause mentions the Democrat Party of Hawaii urges, and then the rest of them don't mention that, or if all of them should mention the Democratic Party of the state of Hawaii urges. I think it's okay as it is, where the first one mentions it and the rest don't, but the first one should always mention it just because it's coming from the party.
To be consistent. Okay. Okay, so this one makes the first pass and then it needs some work. Resolution number 2 is urging the adoption of wealth taxation to fund paid family leave, higher education, and social safeguards. I know for me, just reading the first whereas, it didn't quite read correctly. I don't think anybody believed that the big beautiful bill was intended to serve as a foundation for.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, again, are we adding our own opinions? Right? I don't
No,
think we should be changing
I'm
our
just saying
opinions.
that this.
And the big
this
beautiful bill definitely was to attack our social safeguards.
Yeah, so I think there's just a little grammatical. What I just put was this one needs some work to make it a little clearer. And there's I mean, there's kind of like a lot going on in the resolution.
A lot going on. I don't understand what that means.
So usually it's like one thought follows another. I mean, it needs some work. So anyway,
I
Dale?
don't understand.
I was just gonna mention that as well. There was just some things on here that I was gonna mention need some work as well. I know you mentioned this should be a first pass. Should we kind of save those comments for later so we can get through all 38?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that it needs work. You know, I can get the idea, but it needs to be clarified.
I guess just to add on to what I was saying, then we should just follow the guidelines that you mentioned for the step one, which is making sure that they're in accordance with the convention rules. Does it conflict with anything? Is it duplicate? Should be merged? Is it clear and understandable? Is it credible? All those items, and to save our remaining comments like we did for the previous resolution until the second pass.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for keeping me in check. I see Lemomi joined us. Hi, Lemomi.
Yes, aloha. I am not sure if I am on this committee. I'm supposed to be, but every time I go to the website, I don't see my name there. But I'm going to assume that I am. And partly the reason that I'm supposed to be is because I introduced 9 of the resolutions. So what I wanted to comment as a matter of process, I was wondering, Chair, if you would consider, as we look at these resolutions, allowing the proposer of the reso to first share their mana'o before we make comments on the reso, so that we might understand the motivation for the reso and the information that is in the resolution itself. I came in just a little bit late, but it also sounds like we've introduced some new criteria other than what I see in the convention rules of the authorities of the committees. And so it appears that one of the new criteria that we are imposing is that the resolution must be considered with our platform. My understanding from past resolutions is that they are, resolutions might introduce a new idea. It might not even be in the platform. That wasn't a criteria. So I'm just wondering if we're going on.
Okay,
Yeah?
let me just clarify. On the first one, I just suggested that since it was discussed and it's part of the platform, we have a position on standardized testing. It would make the resolution stronger. So that was the criteria is not that it has to be in the platform, but if it's in the platform, we should use it to strengthen it.
I got it.
But the main issue is that it's not in conflict with the platform.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. And then my other suggestion was, as we review these, may we hear from the proposer first, so that we have an understanding of what their motivation was for submitting the resolution.
How do the rest of you feel? I mean, it was brought up by Justin. I think it's going to take a little longer, but if it gives everybody a better understanding.
Well, basically, thanks to this administration, we're seeing a lot of federal funds being cut, and some states are doing very progressive things and having paid family leave, getting paid family leave, using finding new revenue sources with the wealthy. So since the big beautiful bill is pretty much destroying our way of life, and all the whereas clauses goes away, really the only thing that matters resolved at the bottom, but is that if we need to start looking for new revenue. And Hawaii deserves paid family leave. Hawaii deserves to continue with affordable higher education, and Hawaii deserves strengthening our social safeguards. So all I'm doing here is looking at what's going on across the country and saying, why not us? Why don't we have this? Why aren't we looking at the taxation where we can?
And so we decided that it is going to make the first pass. It just needs some work for clarification purposes. Okay. Dale?
Yeah, just to respond to Marilyn's comment, I don't think we should have the author of the resolution detail out the reasons for it and to describe it, because it should be like the guidelines said, that you put out clear and understandable. So if we can read it and understand where it's coming from and what it's asking for, then we're good. But if we can't understand it, if we can't understand where it's coming from, then no one else on the convention floor would be able to either. So then it would need significant rework. So we don't necessarily need to know where it's coming from in order to decide if we should adopt it or not. We should be able to understand it just from ourselves.
Okay. So let's move on to 3, and it's calling for the restoration of the Foley Commission.
I can talk to that one.
Ikalamai, both Doug Pyle and I had our hands.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Sure, yeah. So
Let me.
Doug had his hand up before me.
Yeah, Doug, please.
I was just going to speak to the question on process, and I agreed pretty much. I don't have to say much because Dale did say what I would have said to. Basically, the resolutions are going to need to be understandable as drafted, and I think what might be more efficient is for the committee is where a resolution is well written. We don't have much to do. We would just say, hey, great, let's move this to the convention if it's something that we wish to push forward. And then if it has problems like some of the comments we have raised, we can spend a little bit more time on them. And at that point, ask the author what they intend here to maybe offer some corrections and clarifications that would make it more clear, if that's something we think is consistent with the purpose of the resolution, if it's in alignment with what the committee would want to put forward. But anyway, that way we'd focus on those resolutions that need the more work and not spend so much time on those that are in good shape.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Okay, Leimomi?
Yes, so I obviously am not going to agree, but we'll go along with whatever the majority, believes. And the reason I don't is because the folks that worked on these spent a lot of time, and in respect to their work, I just believe that it's a good thing. And the other is, under Robert's rules, normally the introducer of the reso, if you are voting on it, gets to first justify their reso, and then either you have the motion and then the first person to speak is the person who wrote the reso. And usually is also the last person to speak. But having said that, I will respect whatever the process is, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Leimomi.
Yeah.
Dale?
Yeah, just to clarify, because we're only a committee and we're filtering the rules, we're not accepting them, that part of Robert's rules might not be applicable. But I do just want to clarify that per the convention meeting rules in Appendix A of the DPH convention standing rules, number 6 actually does state that delegates not appointed as members of the committee must use the chat feature to communicate with committee members. So if any authors of the resolutions aren't committee members, then technically they would not be allowed to speak. And then if we allow them to talk about the reso and not the ones that aren't delegates, then that would be a bit unfair. So it might be good just to keep that. No one should talk about the reso prior to us hearing it and us going through them.
Thank you, Dale. Yes, I mean, if the committee members are having a hard time understanding the reso, I mean, definitely that is a sort of a flag for our attention. But given the concept, I don't think anybody has a problem with the concept. It just needs to be clarified a little bit more. So the next one is 3, calling for the restoration of the Foley Commission to examine legislative power concentration and recommend reforms.
I have my hand up, but I don't know if you can see that. This is Tanya. From Hawaii County. So this one did pass at the Hawaii County Convention a couple of weeks ago. This obviously is in response to the two guilty parties, Hawaii State Representative and Hawaii State Senate, and then the $35,000 brown bag incident. So this asks for the restoration of the Foley Commission. It's a pretty short reso, so you can read it. But one thing that was overlooked when we brought this to the Hawaii County Convention was it focuses on the House, and we'd like to amend it to include the state in this resolution at the Senate, so that both parties of Congress are included in this resolution moving forward.
Any comments? Adele?
If you need a motion, also move.
Yeah, I mean, since we're just doing the first pass, I don't see any issue with it as written. It seems good on my end.
Right, we just want to add, that it's not just to review the House rules, but also Senate. Also Senate, they don't have rules in the same way. So we'd have to figure out the language. We can do, like I can do that in between. I don't know what's the process for that if we wanted to change something like that.
Typically, you don't amend the resolve clauses.
Okay.
And again, I think it needs some clarification if you want to restore the Foley Commission or you want to implement the recommendations for reform of the Foley Commission.
Well, it's resolved that the Democratic Party of Hawaii urges the Hawaii State Legislature to restore the Foley Commission with the mandate to examine the institutional and structural conditions that contributed to the convictions, particularly the Cullen conviction, and review the House rules governing committee referrals. Obviously, this is a huge, huge issue that we can see that's been playing out all this year as well. We're all like in replay since the $35,000 situation is still unknown, and the AG is silent.
Okay, so I guess the first pass is okay, but again, it needs some work.
But need some work isn't very specific. So does that mean that we need a motion to amend so that we can include the House rules and Senate?
No, like I said, I don't think you can change the resolve clause.
You don't think excuse me?
Right.
Yeah, I need to
That's
check.
not clear.
Dale's our rules guy.
Yeah, per the bylaws, we can make substantial changes, I believe it is, as long as it doesn't change the intent of the resolve clause. So if the intent of the resolve clause is kind of referring to the title, restoring the fully commission to examine legislative powers, it seems okay to amend it to add Senate, but we would have to do the process of making the change, opening up for discussion, and then calling for any opposition to see if it can carry unanimously.
So I guess if you can just note that, there is an issue with the resolve clause. And then secondly, I do question whether you want to restore the Foley Commission or you want the recommendations from the Foley Commission implemented, because I think that's the problem. They did some reforms, but they didn't follow up and do the
But
rest.
moving forward, we want the Foley Commission restored because this is an ongoing issue too. So it's still happening, right? We don't really have a transparent democracy happening right now. So
Okay, so
but other people have their hands up. So
okay, Tina.
Thank you, Chair. I feel like I wasn't confused, and now I'm a little bit confused because looking at the resolve clause, it says very clearly restore the Foley Commission, and then goes into further detail as to what we're looking for. So I mean, definitely first pass. This is good for me, and as also a co-author of this, and as a person who was at the HCC convention and heard like Democrats from all across Hawaii County were interested in widening the House rules to include the entire House and Senate processes. So I think that we've put in the suggestions and comments for that shift that we could discuss once we have quorum or maybe in our next round, but definitely first pass seems good. It feels super clear to me. Yeah, I think that restoring the Foley Commission so that we can continue to hold our government officials accountable is a great idea. Thank you.
Okay, so just drop it in the comments about the wording for the resolve clause.
Yes, Ken.
Okay. Okay, the next one is calling on elected Democrats to uphold the Democratic Party platform and establishing accountability mechanisms for those who do not. Okay, Dale? Sorry.
Yeah, I hate to say this because I really like what this resolution is calling for, but at the same time, it's kind of it's making an assumption that there isn't an accountability mechanism already, which there kind of is under Article 1 of the bylaws. Membership, it does say that a member of the Democrat Party has to follow our platform, and if one doesn't, then they can face punishment. That's all detailed in the Article 1 of the bylaws. And so this is making the assumption that there is no accountability mechanism, which there is one, it's just not ever utilized. So I kind of what you're saying with the other resolutions, it might have to be worked in terms of recognizing that there is already an accountability mechanism. This is just calling for a new one or a reworking of that one. But yeah, that's just my comments.
Tina?
Thank you. Definitely, we at the HCC acknowledge that there is language in our rules that asks Democratic or Democrat officials to adhere to the platform. And I think that even the fact that immediately the thought process is that there's kind of a mechanism is illustrative of why we need this resolution, and obviously down to make the language more clear and make it stronger for ease of understanding. But we, I mean, we do see Democrats in office making choices that go against our platform on kind of like a shockingly regular basis. And this is also a resolution that was, I mean, not this exact resolution, but a resolution of this mind was brought forward several years ago and died at the convention, which was a massive bummer in my opinion. So, again, I think as a party, we're in a situation where there's discussions constantly about how Republicans are gaining power, and there's more and more worry about what it looks like to be a Democrat and keep hold of this ship that we're all on, and working together to put forward mechanisms to hold each other accountable to who we say we are is of the utmost importance in order to continue to grow and be a party that is worth people's time and money. So this one's a go for me. First pass. Let's get it.
Okay, any other comments? Again, I think it needs some work, and again, the making it clear that the bylaws or existing rules don't appear to be adequate in addressing the issues or lack of action. Okay, the next.
I'm sorry, Chair. I'm sorry to interrupt. As we go through this process, would it be okay for me to ask for a little bit more clarity in what you mean by needs more work? I don't know if this is for anybody else. This is basically me asking for an accommodation. I'm autistic, so the like reading between the lines of things is very difficult for me, and I would really appreciate some like potentially annoying level of clarity for what needs some work means, so that we can get it done. Thank you so much.
Well, I think, again, as was mentioned before, the reference to what the bylaws say, and that it probably is not adequate, or the rules are not adequate in addressing this lack of adherence to the platform by not only elected Democrats, but possibly candidates too. Laura?
Hello, Chair. Thank you so much for calling on me. I just wanted to reiterate that I agree with you in the sense that in saying it is probably not adequate. I think that the HCC passed this specifically because we are feeling it is not adequate. And so the language is important. And I also really would appreciate also what to define needs more work, so that we can specifically do that work.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, though. Appreciate it.
So Dale?
Thanks. I wanted to make a recommendation, since we are 4 resolutions in and we have a 2-hour meeting, 1 hour into our 2-hour meeting. Could we form subcommittees and have our subcommittees meet over the weekend between now and our Tuesday meeting, and have these subcommittees provide any suggestive change to the resolutions that they're all overviewing, and then we meet back as a group on Tuesday, hopefully we'll have quorum then, to vote on the changes, and then vote if the resolution with those changes should move forward. That's my first suggestion. The second suggestion is, in order to try and at least speed up this first review, let's just try not to talk about the subject matter of the document. Let's just try and make sure it's all within, it meets every the main criteria of us accepting the resolution, like it's timely, it's formatted correctly. Is it controversial to something that we might want to flag just to, or not even controversial, just make sure it meets all the standard stuff that a resolution should meet.
Okay, thank you. Laura had a question. And what is the criteria within this body to what changes are needed? So the rules, the suggested criteria, the guidelines for the process, they're all in your working folder. And I know you just got in this on the committee this afternoon. And so you probably haven't looked at your folders. I think it was Laura, Tanya, and there was one other person that was added on this afternoon, or Doug. So, I mean, I just don't want this to be an advocacy committee. We're here looking at resolutions that would help to move the party forward and not just to advocate for your positions. So, part of the process is, these resolutions are to educate the membership and the delegates, especially the delegates, because they're voting on it. So it needs to be very clear. And I think I may be overly critical because I spent 15 years writing resolutions in the legislature. And so for me, I kind of look at it with that eye. And if I don't see any like history there or something to give me background, if we're just using rhetoric and stuff, to me, it doesn't help strengthen the resolution. So that's the lens I'm kind of looking at it through. So Dale?
Thanks. Sorry, just to clarify, can we form subcommittees to meet over the weekend between now and Tuesday to process these changes to the resos and vote on them at our Tuesday meeting?
Yeah, so I dropped in this afternoon. It was kind of late. The resolutions by subject matter. And so like for example, we have 2 dealing with education, 3 with taxation, 2 with legislative powers and oversight. So
if I could make the suggestion that we group these resolutions by subject matter up into groups of 5 and then form 3 subcommittees. So the subcommittees can meet over the weekend, go through these resolutions in more detail and have these more in-depth discussions on what should be changed and what shouldn't be changed. That's consistent with our guidelines. So that way we don't end up having to schedule additional meetings of the full body here that might go on to like full SEC meetings of 6 and 7 hours.
14. So I came up with 14 subject groups. How do you want to divide it up?
I'm so sorry, Chair. Also, just back in the interest of now having 55 minutes, we all have access to these docs and can and should be putting comments in. I would like to urge this group to move forward to get through round 1. And then if we have time at the end to work out these committee things, because this is, we have the ability to get through the rest of these on first pass and then do the committee thing at the end.
Okay,
but if we sit here and do all the,
Okay, let's give ourselves until 6:30 to do a first pass. And then after 6:30, we'll talk about the subcommittees, forming the subcommittees to take deeper dive into the resos. Okay. Number 5, comprehensive physics and social media literacy. Go, no go.
I recommend that we add a, what is it called? A clause at the end to say who we're sending it to. Just because basic resolutions need that result, or that who are we sending it to clause.
Yeah.
But besides that, everything else looks good in the reso according to the first pass.
Okay, number 6
Thanks, Dale.
is,
So will you add that at the end in the comments? Like as a comment?
yeah. Number 6 is the War Powers Act. I want to point out that there was an SCC resolution passed addressing this. So it's already been addressed by the party. And I included the SEC resolution in the packet. So Dale?
Yep, to keep that fast, I believe SEC resolutions expire at the end of the next convention, if I have my rules understanding correctly. So we would have to pass a new resolution at the convention itself in order to codify it. But yeah, just like you're saying, it's good just to mention that type of thing.
Okay, so let's see, because I think the SEC resolution reads a little bit better and also includes Venezuela. I mean, it's a little broader. So, it's one of those that need combining, number 6 and number 18. Okay, so
I'm sorry, Chair. I had my hand up for. I just want to say that this resolution is different from the War Powers Resolution Act, because this resolution very specifically condemning our attack on Iran specifically, and the gravity of that conflict warrants its own resolution. So I'm not sure that combining it with another resolution, which also warrants its own major look at what the United States is doing and how it functions internally in Congress, would I worry that might water both of them down for the constraint of one page. Thank
so
you.
this is where the subcommittee can probably look at whether it warrants combining or not. And so that's number 6 and number 18. And they can also look at the language from the SCC resolution that was passed. Okay, so this can get worked on in the subcommittee. The next one is the resolution regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena. Dale?
Yep, just a point of clarity that they might want to explain what unidentified anomalous phenomenon is, because I had to Google it, and it's UFOs from people who are from 20 years ago. They renamed the acronym, so just for clarity's sake, that there might need to be a whereas clause in here that explains what UAPs are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go or no go? I mean, I'm concerned whether if this is, again, clear and understandable.
What's not clear in this again?
You don't have a definition for UAP.
He just told you, and it talks about it in
Well,
there.
he
But
told
as
us, but
a,
it's not
as
in
a
the
suggestion,
resolution.
the suggestions can be modified later. But I don't know about this. Is a bill that Chuck Schumer wrote, and I'm asking to support it.
Dale?
I think it meets first pass, but again, the subcommittees can add in another whereas clause just to define what UAP is, just so people are more understanding of what it is. But that would be up to the subcommittee, I feel like.
Okay, so first pass. 8 is urging the legislature to increase the loan guarantee limit for Hawaiian Homes mortgage. And I think this is a bill that was introduced, but it didn't move forward. Okay, so go. Next one is voting accountability. So urging the state of Hawaiian counties to ensure consistent ballot tracking and full custody election records. Questions? Dale?
Yeah, I believe this one might be able to be merged with Resolution 15 that states support for Hawaii's vote by mail system and opposing efforts to repeal or limit or repeal it. So the subcommittee might want to look at possibly combining these two since they're very similar resolutions.
Right. So I did have a category for voting and elections. So there's number 9, number 15, and 26, not similar. It's ranked choice voting, but they all have to do with voting and elections. So that would be kind of a subject for a subcommittee. The next one, 10, is fish pond inventory. Asking the legislature to fund a fish pond inventory. I note that there was a bill introduced, but it did not move out of the legislature. Okay. Go. Okay, Dale?
Yeah, I just think the resolve clauses need some grammatical changes because some of them mention this Democrat Party of Hawaii further urges, and then one, the resolve clause just doesn't include that, then it goes back to saying the Democrat Party of Hawaii supports. So just some technical changes might be needed there to streamline the flow of the argument. But other than that, it's all good for here.
Okay, great. Thank you. On 11, urging the legislature to support military families and to mitigate the cost of living impacts of global conflict on Hawaii residents. So there's like 2 different issues here. So I don't know if it needs to be separated out or just to be clarified. Because one issue you're talking about military families, and then you're talking about Hawaii residents and mitigating the increased cost. Robin?
I have to unmute first and foremost. My apologies. Do we have the individual that set this resolution forward before I potentially try to speak over someone who knows more?
I would have to go back and look at the submittal.
Okay.
And the certification.
Right. Mm-hmm. So on that, to help kind of smooth over the potential difference here, the military family is coming in through PCS. Don't ask me what PCS stands for. I know it from the acronym only. Basically, when the military families move over here, cost of living goes up because you have basic housing allowance that the military sets, and that's based on that's determined by the federal level, determining I'm getting into actual discussion of this. I apologize. Anyways, it is related because the military families need resources from the state because the federal is not too good at supplying these resources. Ask me how I know. So therefore, they're in economics competition with residents. So the title could potentially use some explanation, but it can be smoothed over. I'm going to shut off now. Sorry.
Okay. Lemomi, but
Yes.
Lemomi, I show that I don't have an appointment letter for you. So
Yes.
Mina, if I can add on, Leimomi is vice chair of platform committee, so she can't actually serve on two committees, so that she's on the platform committee, not on resolutions.
Chair, may I clarify? And I think Bronson might be on also. So there's some confusion about whether I'm going to be the co-chair for platform or whether I'm going to be a member of resolutions. And so the convention co-chairs are still trying to work that out. In the meantime, I just had a discussion with Bronson and told him, obviously, I want to follow the rules. So the rules of engagement is that if I am not on the committee and they haven't confirmed that I am, and they haven't confirmed that I'm not, it's just kind of in limbo. All I wanted to say was, and I could put this in chat to make it more official if you would like, is that I am the author of this resolution. So I wanted to clarify for you that your observation is absolutely correct, that there are two different issues here, and happy to have them separated out, which I think you're going to have committees meet, and they could suggest that if they'd like to, and send it back to the author, and I'm happy to work on them again. That's all I wanted to say. And that's why I'm being quiet on the others, because my where I'm going to be, I think will be resolved by tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Dale has his hand up. Dale.
Yep. I just want to say for Leimomi, she is listed on the page as vice chair of platform. So unless that changes, then as far as everyone should just be considered vice chair of platform unless that changes. So
Okay, thank you. So this one passed, first pass, but it needs to be separated out, the two issues. 12 is OHA trustee public financing. I checked the bill. This might have been addressed in the CD1, which had final reading already. So this may not be needed. Laura.
Hello, Chair. Thank you so much for recognizing. I am just a little confused as to whether we are reviewing content or more like the grammar and style and the fundamentals of what a resolution needs to have, because I don't think whether it's appropriate for this body to be judging whether the content should be put before the larger body at the convention based on whether a bill does or does not pass currently. It is literally in the resolve clause to carry out what it says in the resolve clause, regardless of what passes. And my understanding is that we are really supposed to be just looking at really similar resolutions, because I was looking at the ones around voting and they're very different. Yes, they are about the same subject of voting, but and to my look, they need to stay separate, and they are in a similar issue base, but they're very different in what they're asking for. And so I'm just wondering for functionality of this current meeting, that we should not be judging. And if we don't like the content, then we should vote against it at the convention. But we're supposed to be looking at whether it is fundamentally part of our platform, our current platform, whether it is in line with Democratic Party values. Obviously, if there's a resolution that says we're pro-life, yeah, we need to kick that out because we're not pro-life. We or against pro-choice, for example. I'm just being extreme in the use of the example, but we're not supposed to be unilaterally discussing whether the issue is relevant or not. It's supposed to be whether it's under our party values. And I haven't seen in the reading of any of these so far that are against Democratic Party values. And so we really should bring it to the floor, and we're just supposed to be correcting kind of like the grammar and the logistics. Thank you, Chair.
Well, I'm just pointing out that, we have legislation that has passed the legislature just yesterday, or is it today? Yesterday. So whether it was necessary or not.
I think this is for our values and for putting out to the world and the community that this is what Hawaii Democrats believe, and so it can actually uphold and support what our legislators just passed. And it's okay to be duplicative, because it's really just, this is about what we as Democrats stand for and what we want to continue to do. I personally haven't read the legislation that you are referring to that passed, so I can't comment on that. And I do know that with the CD1, things can change.
So this is a first pass. So I'm just pointing it out to everybody that, as we move forward, this needs to take a closer look, because legislation has passed addressing this issue.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that's not what our task is in this committee, is to judge whether it needs to go on based on legislation. This is what we stand for and what we want to work for as a Democratic Party, not in the legislature necessarily.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is 13, requiring a study on the health effects of geothermal development. Go, no go, Laura. You have your hand up. Any questions on this? First pass?
This is great. Awesome.
Good, thank you.
Next one is public land trust revenues.
That looks good too.
We talked about this, affirming the vote by mail system. So that will be grouped with or reviewed with the other voting subject resolution. Okay, and I also wanted to point out that SCC did pass a resolution that was similar to this in January, and that I dropped that one into the file. Okay. 16 is Gaza genocide and ending military support for Israel actions against the Palestinians.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this one also has an SCC resolution that was passed, and again, that is dropped into the folder. 17 is the same, calling for non-engagement with the state of Israel in genocide against the Palestinians, which was addressed in the SCC resolution. So looking at both of these, we may be able to combine them. Leave it up to the subcommittee. 18 is the War Powers Act. Asking Congress to assert its authority in the War Powers Act. So again, this can be looked at with the with number 6, resolution number 6. And again, I dropped the SCC resolution in the folder. Okay, so I'm assuming this is a go. The next is opposing renewal of military leases on state and crown lands and calling for the return of Pohakuloa to the Hawaiian people.
That's a good one. Thank you. Passed at HCC unanimously.
Okay, so I think the only thing was there's a resolution clause. I'm not in a resolution, but a whereas clause. OHA having included in its legislative package a constitutional amendment. So we may have to kind of update that and see what happened with that amendment. Okay. 20 is a resolution for the party to adopt the presidential presidential primary election report. And I think it's a pretty clean resolution, self-explanatory. Go. Okay. The next one is 21, opposing future transit fare increases. It is Oahu specific. And I guess in this screen, again, it's strictly a county issue. I'm not sure if it was taken up in the Oahu Convention. Dale, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just to point out, I am the author of this reso. The resolve clause does ask the state legislature for action. So I believe it can be considered a statewide issue, or at least the whereas clauses could be amended to ensure that it is fully a statewide action. And I did get a note of after I submitted it that might be an issue, so I actually did propose amendments already for it to address that, which I will refer to the subcommittee to take on.
Okay. Go. Tina?
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna basically say the same thing as Dale. I think that this, even though it originally was submitted for Oahu specific, all of us have public transportation, and I think that all of us across all the islands would appreciate that public transportation to be expanded and to be available. So I would be stoked for that amendment.
Okay, next one is no cost, low cost spay neuter clinics.
That also passed unanimously at the HCC meeting, to my knowledge.
Go, no go?
Go.
Okay. Resolution to prioritize investment in membership communication and enhancements when budgeting. It just has resolve clauses. And I'm not sure if this, I mean, I just found some drafting issues with this. So Robin has her hand up.
My apologies. I need to be quicker on the draw. Resolution 22, the first whereas for the low cost spay neuter. I do want to avoid potential hyperbole. May I ask where the millions came from? Is that a national number? Is that a state number? Because I do think that is an important number to have, so we have something tangible and quantitative. I just didn't know where that source came from. Any insight would be appreciated. Thank you.
We could reach out to the who I think was the author of that resolution, but to my knowledge, the author of that resolution is not present to answer that question.
So I think, you know, these are some of the kinds of issues that we should be careful about, you know, the being able to cite factual numbers, avoiding hyperbole. You know, we want these resolutions to be taken seriously. So just be cognizant of that. Okay, so this is the resolution to prioritize investment in membership communication and enhancement. And so it just has resolve clauses. Which, you know, technically you want to refrain from amending too much. Dale?
Yeah, I just want to kind of just mention what you did, which is usually we want to at least see like one resolve clause just to detail what it is, because I don't know who submitted this, but I think the title is kind of meant to generalize exactly what it is. So maybe the subcommittee who reviews this might want to rework the title into a whereas clause, so that way it could be clearer.
Yeah. Okay. This one needs work. I'm not sure where it originated from. So anyway, 24. This is the vacant lot property tax surcharge. Again, it appears to be a county issue. And especially since property taxes is in the jurisdiction of the county. So, Dale?
Yep. Full disclosure, again, this is one I authored. So same as with the transit fare one, I think it does need to be clarified to be a more statewide issue. Otherwise, it can't be something that we pass on to the convention. And I have suggested edits that I can propose to the subcommittee for that.
Okay. Thank you. 25 is supporting public financing for elections and enhance in election transparency. So go, no go. And
go.
And so this is can be looked at with number 34, campaign finance reform. Okay. Questions? Robin?
Quicker this time. Okay, so I do see a whereas where it mentions Senate Bill 51 and then House Bill 766, and it does mention those. Do we know where they're currently at? Because we are towards the end of the legislation, whether they survived or not, or if we could have a point of reference with those.
My understanding is both bills did not move.
Got it. Okay.
And
Thank
then
you.
so that has to be updated. Okay. Number 26 is ranked choice voting. Any problems with that?
No problems.
Okay. Next one is the property tax surcharge on high value non-residential secondary homes. Go.
Sorry, just to this one also needs clarification at the end of the resolution on who it's being sent to. Because we pass it and we don't send it to anyone, then it's kind of doesn't mean anything. So I would just recommend that as well.
Yeah, and then the other thing is got a lot of areas we want to spend the money in, but the first step is, I believe you need a constitutional amendment because the state cannot charge property taxes. It's a county function. So, okay. Next one is 28. Basically fixing tax loopholes to raise revenues through fairness and progressive revenue measures.
Good one.
Okay, any questions? Nope. 29 is urging sanctuary protections for immigrants and prohibiting state and county cooperation with federal law enforcement. Anything there?
So there is some legislation that's moving forward around things like no 287G. So this at least needs to take into account what is being passed this session.
Again, this is to show what us as Democrats support. And this was also very important at the county convention on Hawaii Island, where there is a lot of ICE activity.
Okay, Dale?
Yeah, if I can just recommend, not for this resolution, but the subcommittee issue, because we do have 20 minutes left and a hard cutoff time at 7. We might want to clarify that, otherwise we can't do anything by the subcommittee form until after our Tuesday meeting. So
Sorry, I'm also under the impression that we can all work on these documents however we want.
it would be very hectic if we all 14 of us decide to start editing documents at will. So it's good to kind of form in groups of like 4 or 5 people so we can do it as group efforts, and just those 4 or 5 would handle those documents they're assigned to.
Okay, I think we should finish going through these. There's only like, what, 5 or 6 left, so we can go through our first pass and then talk about subcommittees.
Yeah, let's give it 5 more minutes. 30 is to support the congressional delegation, urging the congressional delegation to restore federal democracy, rule of law, constitutional accountability. Okay. Anything here? Next is urging Hawaii County Council and Mayor to prohibit data centers on Hawaii Island. Again, this is strictly a county issue.
I think we could edit this to account for the whole state like we've been talking about with the other ones, and
Excellent.
that's how it goes.
Because I don't want a data center over here either.
Yeah.
Okay, 32 is easy. It's Phil's memorial resolution for Phil Barnes. I see no issue with that.
Yes, we love Phil.
Number 33 is, again, adopting legislative reforms. This should be looked at in conjunction with the Foley resolution. 34 is urging state legislature to enact campaign finance reforms. So I think it may need to be updated. 35 is comprehensive data privacy legislation. To me, this one looked pretty clean. Any questions on that? Next one was the artificial intelligence transparency and accountability legislation. There was a bill, a conference draft one that passed final passage. So again, I'm not sure if this is necessary. Just an update on that. Okay, number 38 was late, and it was not only late, it was 9 days late. And so was 37 and 38. And there was a deadline for resolutions. Dale?
Yep, I just want to say normally we have to vote by 2/3 majority to decide if we wanted to accept these resolutions, but we cannot vote unless we have quorum. So we may have to table whether or not we accept these.
Okay. Okay, let's go to committees.
Oh, we had another hand up.
Oh, sorry, Tina.
Thank you. Actually, what Dale just said is a perfect segue to what I was just going to ask, because if we don't have quorum and we cannot vote, how can we make a motion and vote on breaking out into subcommittees?
Well, we're not taking any formal actions. It's just a way to process the resolutions faster.
Okay, so if the subcommittees are informal, does that mean that we all still have access to make comments and edits to any of the resolutions as we see fit over the weekend?
Yeah, that's, if you're meeting, I think you can do it both ways. You can submit your suggestions to the committees that are working on it.
All right, but I'm sorry, Chair, but if the subcommittees are not official and we cannot vote to make them official, then how can we require members to submit anything directly to the committees instead of just submitting comments to the document?
We're just breaking the task down into smaller groups so we can get through this process faster. And so we're not, we can take all the suggestions, put it together, and then have a discussion on them, and then act as the resolution committee. These are just working groups. Dale, and then Laura, then Sarah, and then Justin. Okay, so Dale?
Yeah, I'll just keep it fast, but yet the subcommittees are only making suggested recommendations, so anything that they make suggestions to is then presented to the full body for vote on if they accept it. So if someone not in the subcommittee just wants to make a whole bunch of changes, those will not be heard at the full committee next time. They would have to go through this subcommittee because they're the ones who would present the changes. That's at least my understanding in order to keep it civil.
No, I'm sorry, but every committee member has a right to make comments on these.
Absolutely.
we'll just funnel them to the people that are working on it. So they're just not appearing everywhere. So everybody agreeable to that?
No, I'm sorry.
Chair, I have a point of clarification that might need addressing. Is it okay if I continue?
Is that Laura?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So earlier it was stated that we would be editing, but to my knowledge, we are only commenting, correct? I just wanted to make sure that none of them get changed. And if they are, it's Ramsayered so we can see what the changes are. And that right now we are only going through, again, more on the grammar logistics side. And I'm not understanding how we would split into subcommittees if we cannot vote on that.
So you'll be commenting on it, and then we can track the edits that way, and then we'll be bringing it back to the full committee to have these discussions. It's just a way of breaking down the task, because it's so hard to do these edits as a committee right now virtually. Okay. Justin and then Tina. I'm sorry, Sarah, are you done?
My hand went down automatically. I just put it back up. So I'll comment after Justin.
I like the idea of more time. We obviously feel like we don't have enough time, but it wasn't broadcasted anywhere. It's not on the website that we formulated these. We didn't vote on it. I'm just concerned, especially about the people that didn't show up today, not including them. Are you going to send an email notifying everybody of the decisions that were made for the subcommittee? That
we'll have a summary of what was discussed today.
Yeah, I know, but if we only have how many people? 13. We need 13 people to make any decisions, and if they're not here, and then we're not notifying them about. I don't know. I'm just concerned.
Tina.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I do. I just want to say, like, I appreciate the want to split the work up for sure. Like that's awesome. That's like a great way to get things done. My concern just lies similarly with what Justin said, is that we do not have quorum to make decisions like this, and sounds like, based on what the process that we're talking about right now, that people who are not in a subcommittee will need to then submit their comments to a subcommittee that will then bring it back to this body. And that, in my opinion, would require a full body vote in order to like set that process as something that we're doing. So I would suggest that everybody who wants to work together on any of these bills should, but we all can and must make comments and ideas on every single resolution that we feel so called to. And then also we run into the thing where it's like, if we're talking about having this weekend, that's not enough notice for people. Like I can only speak for myself here, but like I have work all weekend, so it's like by putting this process in right here, right now, we are in danger of doing things outside of the scope of this committee and are outside of the scope of not having quorum, and disenfranchising people from being able to participate at their time and their ability to do this. So again, like into working as a group against doing subcommittees or formal work groups, because we do not have the authority to do that right now. Thank you.
Sarah?
That's similar to my point as well. Every member of the committee has the right to comment and suggest draft language changes to any of the resolutions, not just ones that we'd be in a working group for. I mean, I wouldn't have time to meet on all the working groups for the issues that I'm passionate about in here as well. So I think we all need to be able to make suggested draft, changes on here to have them brought before all of us to vote with a quorum.
Right, and everybody on the committee has access to the work folders as commenters, so you can just drop your comments onto the documents. Okay, Dale?
Yeah, and just to clarify what I said, because I might have misspoke, but yes, any member can just come to our next meeting and propose all the changes they want outside of the subcommittee. The subcommittee's purpose is just to try and do more work in the meantime, in between meetings, so because we only have 2 hours in these meetings and only 3 meetings total. And if we don't get done with our work, then none of these resos go to the floor. So any member can just do what they want and submit their changes next meeting, but the subcommittees are just trying to do all that heavy lifting behind the scenes and then propose those changes at the next meeting. They're not actually going to do any changes themselves.
So Laura, sorry, Robin, and then Laura.
I'm requesting that the chairs set a standard operating procedure for how we go about discussions in order to streamline this, so we aren't using the first hour to go over 9 resolutions. So if we can have a set ABC order on how to do this and have that put out through email blasts, that way so we know what we're getting into, I think that could help smooth things over and save on time.
Thank you. Laura?
Thank you, Chair. Just back to the subcommittees, because I do want to be involved if I can. How do we sign up for those subcommittees, and who is organizing the individual subcommittees and the Zoom and such to get together on the subcommittees?
So I wouldn't call them subcommittees. I would call them working groups right now, because, subcommittee sort of connotes that we took action, formal action as the resolutions committee. So
I guess the same question then would apply to the working group. How do we sign up for them? Because just like Sarah had mentioned, I mean, if we are going to go along with method, she mentioned, wanting to be on multiple, as do I, and I won't know when we're meeting and how to join.
So, Lemomi, I'm not going to call on you because you technically aren't a member of this committee.
I have a point of order. I placed a comment in chat, which by our rules allows me to do because I'm not a member of the committee. So non-members can comment in the chat.
Chair, non-members should not be speaking, and it is up to the chair to call on their questions.
So I'm really sorry, but there's a lot going on right now. So
yes, but we are violating our own rules that says as
I'm not,
a
but I can't.
non-member.
We're having discussions here, and I cannot get on the chat and facilitate the discussions at the same time. I'll review the chat after we get off and try to answer your question, but let us continue with what we're trying to accomplish here. Dale?
Thank you. I just wanted to recommend, since we have 4 minutes left, that Chair, you break down the resolutions by subject matters into 5 groups of like-minded issues like war, Iran, that type of thing, into 3 to 5 groups, and then I'll leave it up to your discretion if you want to assign us, or if you want us to email you and indicate which one we want to sign up for.
Yeah, because right now, I think I mentioned I have 14 groups. And so I'll consolidate it some more, email everybody, see where your interest is in, and go from there. We'll do this by email to the committee. Any objections to that? Anybody has suggestions right now on what subject matters? Suggestion for subject matters? Judy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'd like to request anything pertaining to national issues, such as the ones you just enumerated, and congratulate you on a very successful meeting.
Thank you. Dale?
Yeah, and likewise, I'll take anything related to the county issues or anything that gets grouped into there.
Okay, so so I hear national and county. Definitely there's a lot of Hawaiian issues. That can be another category. And campaign reforms and legislative reforms. And then another big one is Democratic Party policies. How's that for starters? Laura?
Hi, Chair. Thank you. I just, before we do adjourn, I wanted to know if we had a date and a time for our next meeting.
Yeah, it's everything. The meeting schedule is in the work folder along with the links.
Thank you.
And the links are also posted on the Democratic Party events calendar.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And thank you for chairing today.
Okay, any other questions? So I'll be sending out an email with the subjects, the resolutions under those subject headings, and you tell me what you're interested in. Okay? Thank you, everybody. And hopefully we'll have quorum next time.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.